So the motivation for connecting through LinkedIn is because 75 to 85% of jobs are referrals. You get them through referrals. And interesting enough, it's not through your first level connections that you're going to be finding a job, which kind of makes sense. It's through your person who knows somebody. So you're connected with, say, David, and David's connected with somebody, with John, and John's the one who hires me, not David. And that makes sense because you don't want to hire your best friends. It's seen as not cool, right? So if you know somebody who knows somebody, well, they must be cool because my friend knows them, so I'll hire that guy, right? It makes sense. All right, so on LinkedIn you have something like 150 million active users and 400 million total users. So your LinkedIn is your oyster, so to say. 90% of recruiters are on LinkedIn. So basically, if you're looking for a job, LinkedIn is the place you want to be.
And I would also say on your resumes, put a link to your LinkedIn profile, for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea too. Now, you've all seen this because we don't need to see this
question?
because this we did during networking. You all know who I am. That is a page from our RAND book. If you do the online Rensselaer Alumni Networking, they will actually ask you to put a page in the RAND book. That was a page from the RAND book. So anyway, so you are invited. Networking means you have to make connections in order to network. Connections, you have to make invitations or accept invitations. So it kind of goes back and forth like that. Now the idea here is how do you make a connection? That's what this piece is all about. First of all, the most important thing is that LinkedIn is a relationship app, so you want to be making relationships with people. How do you do that? You don't just say, inviting somebody, and I just want to connect with you out of the blue. Give the person a reason to connect with you. So when you connect, you're always going to add a note. And as I'll show you in a couple of minutes, actually, not a slide, but I'll show you where you would want to add a note. Now, the big thing here is, assuming you've established your profile, once they do come and check you out before they connect with you, is your profile going to attract them, or is it going to repel them away? So if you have a profile picture that looks pretty professional, that should be attracting them. If you have a summary, if you have all those components that Ken discussed in the first part, that should be an attractive profile. If you have a person with a shadow face, no face at all, they're going to be like, do I really want to connect with this person? They're kind of an unknown. Maybe not. All right, so where are we over here?
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm beginning to see that LinkedIn is not just for the purposes we talk about. People are trying to sell you stuff with it.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
There's business to business in LinkedIn. And there's also, people aren't so much doing like business to consumer as much in LinkedIn, but it's definitely business to business.
Yeah, but these are like almost like, instead of getting a cold call, you're getting like real estate advertisements and stuff like that. It comes right, these people are busy, to me, that's
They look at your interests, they see you're into real estate, portfolios, and they're going to hit you up for that, sure.
Okay, so let me just address that real quick. Look at who's connecting with you. My policy is to be very careful about who's connecting with me. If somebody is connecting with you just to help themselves by selling you something, I do not connect.
Okay.
And if you don't connect, then they're not able
Half the
to.
time you don't know until.
Well, you
can unfriend
them
them.
out.
So to
can
speak.
also reply back first before
Yeah.
connecting.
Right.
I'm just curious, why do you want to connect? What did you find interesting about my
And all those
profile?
are good points. That's
Or
true.
sometimes they send you videos, I get videos of stuff.
You don't have to look at it.
I know, I'm just.
Twist my arm, right? All right, so we're going to talk about two kinds of connections here, two categories. One is where LinkedIn shoves the person in front of your face. So that's on the left side, LinkedIn prompted networking, which is like my network on LinkedIn. On the right side is what LinkedIn facilitates for you to be able to pick and choose who it is you want to connect with. So let's go over it. So first of all, when you first get your LinkedIn profile, the very first thing is you put your email address in, and LinkedIn says, oh, let me have your connections. So what you do in that case is you say yes or no, and it gives you this whole spectrum of all these people who are on LinkedIn that happen to have the same email addresses matching up to LinkedIn, their LinkedIn profile. And it says, connect to all of them. Now, of course, you don't have to do that. You can skip it entirely. You can uncheck everybody and then check off just the ones you really want to connect with. And the ones you do that way, they really should already know you, because otherwise it's a blind connection. You know, they don't know who this is coming from and why you're trying to connect with them. And the chances are not as high that they're going to want to connect with you. So you can either skip it entirely or be choosy. That's up to you. That's what I'd recommend. So now, then you go and you've got now your LinkedIn profile, and it shows you on the networking page. It says, here are people that you may also know, who are connections of your connections. So once again, you may or may not know them, go through, pick and choose, but in this case, don't just blindly connect with them. Go directly to their profile, and you also want to maybe check them out, but in this case, you want to connect from their profile page so that you have the ability to then add a note. And when you add a note, that's called personalizing your connection. So when you personalize the connection, they're much more likely to connect with you. Okay, so now in Office 365, we have this new integration, which is partially rolled out to some folks and partially rolled out to some organizations, because they would have to then in turn grant permission for LinkedIn to infiltrate their organization. For one thing they do is they will actually hit up the SharePoint Active Directory, and yes, and they will find out who you work for. And if you have an org chart that's established in your company already, they will tell you who your coworkers are and how you report to them. So that's interesting, right? Now on the other side, you want to connect with people. You're just first establishing your LinkedIn profile and your connections. You've got to get a lot of connections so you can develop your network, so you can be found. So one way to start that out is by looking for lions who are self-proclaimed LinkedIn open networkers. Now, you'll have a lion, L-I-O-N, somewhere in their profile. They'll probably post it. You can do a search for the word lion. You'll come up with lion foods and all other things. But you will find people who have lion in their job title or headline or tagline, as it might be called, or even like right up by their name. Those people are almost guaranteed to connect with you. So you may want to utilize that to build up your network initially, because you need a combination of both quantity and quality connections in order to be able to spread out. Okay, now you can also find on LinkedIn, every once in a while somebody will post a list, and they'll say, join this list just like a chain letter, and put your name at the bottom, and go ahead and connect to all the other people in this list, because the reason they put their names on this list is so they can connect with you. So once again, even if you're connecting with lists of people, you have to go individually into their profile page, into that page where it says connect, and then you request. Remember, it's an invitation. They don't have to connect with you, so you want to put something in your note.
Now 8:30 p.m.
So then the other way you can do it is through mutual agreement. So in other words, I'm commenting, let's say, on somebody's post. They think I'm interesting, and they want to connect with me, or vice versa. I see their post, and I want to connect with them, because then I can automatically get all their posts come into my feed. So that would be by mutual agreement, where I request a connection, or they request a connection. They say why. I read your post. I thought it was interesting. Would you please connect with me, right? And you're pretty sure to get a connection because you're flattering them, because you like what they do, okay? Now, searching and targeting connections is another way, using criteria with the search. For example, you can do a Boolean search. But I don't want to do that yet. This is I'm just trying to get through here quickly, but we'll go over a Boolean search on another slide, so let me just keep going. If you develop your brand, now in this case, you're inviting people to connect you en masse, because you're developing a sort of thing that people know you for, a niche. Like, for example, I'll post a lot about NASA. I'll post about, you know, the idea of finding dark matter. That's like fascinating to me. I'll post a lot about office technology and tips and stuff like that too. So people kind of know what to come to my posts for. And if they're interested in that, they connect with me. All right, so this is kind of a little chart. And it shows you mass invitation capabilities versus individual invitations. So again, when your LinkedIn prompted in the beginning to connect en masse to a zillion people, that would be mass. On the other hand, on the other extreme, if you have a branded profile and people know what to expect of you, what you might be an expert in, what you might be posting about consistently, then they'll want to connect with you, and that's kind of mass, because you don't have to go to each one and connect. Instead, they come to you. Okay, so now, we're just kind of going over this again. So you go to the person's profile page to connect. This is what you almost always want to do. You want to add a note. On a cell phone application, you do the same thing. But when you go to their profile page, it doesn't have the same button there that says connect. So instead, and I mean, when you say connect, it just connects immediately. So instead, you go to the three dots that are kind of in the upper right corner on your cell phone. You click on that, and there's an option in there that says personalized invitation. You accomplish the same thing. You add a note. Okay, so LinkedIn prompted, that's again, this is just a review. You may also know lions, search for lions. Published lists, usually you sign up online for these published lists. Mutual agreement, I think, is next. Let's see, LinkedIn groups. Okay, so we want to talk about groups for a moment. Supposing that you're not connected first, second, or third level to somebody, then they're out there, but you really want to connect with them. Maybe they are in a company that you want to work for, and you want to see what's going on. So here's what you do. One of Lisa Rankel's ninja tricks. You can have up to 100 groups, but what you can do is you cannot use all of your groups that you join. Groups are simply interest groups, things that a bunch of people are all interested in. So there could be an interest group, for example, on Microsoft Word. So if you join that group, you'll find people with like interests. But let's say that you found an engineering position that you're interested in at, I don't know, let's say BASF. You want to find people you know at that company, but you don't really know enough people. Why? Because when the hiring manager sees that you're connected with a bunch of people at their company, they're going to say, hey, you know what? This person already knows people here. Maybe they would fit in with the culture of the company. So it's kind of an edge to be able to connect with people in an organization. One way to do it, if they're not directly connected first, second, third level, is to join the group they're in. So you hold those groups in spare. You don't create yourself 100 groups. You create yourself, maybe you want to connect and be joining maybe 50 groups, and you leave the groups in spare, so that when you need a group, you can pull it out of your hat, join that group, and now find the person in the group, and now you can connect with them. Because members are listed and they're accessible to members of groups, that's why. And then, like I said, Lisa's ninja secret. Okay, so now, by mutual agreement, we had discussed that before, that's the normal mutual agreement. Then there's a person like Oleg Vinish-Polsky. He's incredible. He has over 30,000 connections. He is a human connector. He lives on LinkedIn to do nothing else but connect people. So what he says is, he says, tag me in your post, and that's an example of tagging somebody, which we had talked about before, the @ sign. And go ahead and tell me. So for example, Jesse, you could go ahead out there, and you could post to Oleg Vinish-Polsky and say exactly what it is you're looking for. And he has, I don't know, he says 2,000 messages in his inbox, and he has 6,000 or something tags a day, and people are out there looking for each other. He also has jobs that are posted out there. Just go look at his feed, it's crazy. And all he does himself is he posts these big, like, posters about be free, you know? And he's just a human connector.
I've seen his name.
You've seen his?
David Collison.
Yeah. So you can't connect with him. Follow him. That's what you want to do. Follow him. Okay. Then we have the search and target. That's like the search and destroy, right? So you go into the search box. You fix your categories, your filters, and you want to get even more specific. You can do a Boolean search. You all are engineers. You know what this all means. So I want to search for the phrase job coach, and I want to search for those who have those, I'm going to do a content search for this one. Job coach, and for those contents that people have posted that have the word introvert in them, but don't have the word shy, but still have job coach, right? So that's how I would find, for example, postings about how to deal with being an introvert and being coached on that. Okay. So now that we've done that, let's talk about engaging and building your brand. This is the last slide, and we're right on time. So let them come to you. How do we do that? We have to post engaging material. So you can go to other people's material that's engaging, share it, comment on it. That also raises you up in the search engine optimization algorithm. You've got to be active on LinkedIn to be raised up in the search engine algorithm. So then you can also use on those hashtags, which means interests. So for example, if I wanted to post about LinkedIn, I would do hashtag LinkedIn at the end of my post. or hashtag networking. And if I have those interests in my own profile, LinkedIn or somewhere, let's say that David or that Kathleen has in her profile, she's interested in LinkedIn, she's interested in networking, she's automatically going to get that post into her feed because of the fact that it's identified as being applicable to what you're interested in. So you can use the hashtags, you can also @ people if you want them to definitely get it in their feed. Then what you do is you sit back and you look at your dashboard or you look at your activity and you watch the number of posts. And you look and see how many posts the particular strategy got you. So you monitor the post right here. Are your posts attracting the types of people that you would like to have connected with you? If they're not, go back to the drawing board, post different kind of engaging material, and see who you get. And you just keep going around in this spiral until you zero in on the exact people that you want to be connected with, the types of people. And
It's also about the time of day you post.
Right. So, does anybody have any questions? Because that now is the end of my presentation. I told you it wouldn't be 15 minutes. And I'd like to open it up for final questions. And I would like to know, for the people who signed on the sign-in sheet that we passed around, there was a column that said, yes or no, do you want to distribute? And I mean among the group here, not in the world. So check the yes off or put a check mark or something, find the list who has it, and just put a check by your name. It's over there? So Vince, you want to pass it around again?
Can I just add something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so nobody really talked about this, and I think it's one of the most powerful ways of using LinkedIn if you're looking for a job. So you have to have a network, so you have to be connected to people. But LinkedIn has first connections, people who you are connected with, second connections, where people are connected to somebody you are connected with, third connections, and then everybody else. So you're looking for a job. Typically, all these companies post their jobs on a on a career website, their own or others. You find the job. It's good to get in with somebody on the inside. So how to do that? You look in LinkedIn. You can do a search. You can do a search on a company name. You can add criteria for geography. Find somebody who works for Pfizer in New Jersey, and then look for people who there's a connection to you where you might be able to get introduced. And then you could reach out directly, or you could reach out to your connections and kind of make the hop. And it's most powerful if you can make it personal. So, if I'm looking for a job at the Federal Reserve Bank because I want to be the next chairman of the Fed, and I know that Nancy's working there, I'm going to go talk to Nancy because I know she can get me in as the next Fed chairman. But that's the idea. And it's pretty powerful. It's very helpful because there's so many people looking for jobs. There are a lot of jobs, but there's tremendous amount of resume noise. And it's hard to be noticed. So this is a way of getting noticed.
So, anytime, let's see, where's location in here?
What's your question?
I'm missing location.
The question is, where it tells you like how many people have looked at your profile?
Yes.
A lot of times, it doesn't correlate, like when it says so-and-so looked at your profile. Then there'll be more people that actually looked at it that show up on
Andover, Massachusetts.
on LinkedIn. And so can people look at your profile and it won't be registered?
You can look at people anonymously, but then you won't be able to see also.
I'm talking about, can people look at yours and it won't tell you? A lot of times it says a recruiter looked at your profile. It doesn't tell you who did it.
That's because that's the way that they have determined their settings to be. They don't want to be noticed.
Right, but I think it gets, there are people that are looking at it and it doesn't even show up on that part.
I think it kind of shows up, but to see everybody who looked at your profile, you have to actually pay for a LinkedIn higher level service.
Okay.
So the free service doesn't show you everybody, but it will say, you know, somebody in human resources in New
Well,
Jersey.
they have a
to look at
graph
your
on there, you
profile.
know, that they have a graph that about how many,
I think that that's pretty accurate. I think it is.
okay.
So this is premium? Is this with premium?
No,
Oh.
I never advocate buying.
No, and I wouldn't either. There's enough to do with data set that you don't need to know.
Yeah. So I changed CEO to LIMS, which is the lab information management system that all the pharmaceuticals use.
I used to work on that too.
Yeah, well, I was in pharma for a while. So anyway, when I put that in as search criteria, let's go look at the filters again that are here. Let's look at all filters. You get a slew of stuff. So for example, I put anytime, Pfizer, location, I tried to pare it down to Greater New York. And what I got was this. Principal scientist, data systems lead, you know, I mean, you get a bunch of stuff, right? So obviously you have to experiment this for your particular,
But there you're looking at the jobs, not the people.
right. So you could look at people too.
Yeah.
So let's just go back and clear the filters here. Clear, 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 clear. Okay. So let's
So
go
each
back.
one of these things you're doing is a separate search, and then you clear.
You can refine them if you wanted to, but like right here when I click on the search, which I'm trying to do, but I gotta get out of here because they need the stuff back. So normally it would come up with jobs, people, or what's the other one that's in there?
Companies, I think.
No, not companies, that's not there anymore, they moved it. Every week it's different, every week is a new adventure. But honestly, I gotta pull the plug because I have to have this back 2 minutes ago.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending. If you checked off that you want to receive everyone's information, I'll send that to all of
Yes,
you.
yes.
Take some food. Take some cookies for your family.